Hey y'all, Rick Sky here. Welcome back to another live walk show. And just gonna walk around, burn some calories. Sometimes it's good to, a lot of people saying I'm not a personal trainer and I'm not a doctor, but a lot of people say that exercise earlier in the morning is better than exercise in the evening because allegedly it may spike your metabolism early in the day. But I don't know, it sounds like it could be true. Personally, I like evening walks because, I don't know, they seem to make you sleep better. That and drink some tart cherry juice. Tart cherry juice is some good stuff. But yeah, I just wanted to get on for a live show. Just a quick walk show, nothing fancy. And just talk about what's coming to the channel. So, got a bunch of coin videos. I posted one last night. It's a segment from, actually it started back around 2009 when I met a numismatist. And a numismatist is someone that's a professional with, with buying, selling, trading, grading coins, that sort of stuff. So I decided I'd start doing a lot of coin videos, and I hope y'all enjoy them. I just like them to be goofy. There's no reason to have a serious coin video. They're silly, but hopefully have, good video quality so you can see the details of each coin that's been discussed. So yeah, it's it's cool doing those videos. Got a little bit of congestion today. I'll get one of those tests and test myself again, make sure I'm not down with the sickness that's going around. Hopefully not, but oh well. Yeah, I just gotta be proactive, run those little tests. That's a good thing now. You can take those tests at home. You just shove that little cotton swab up your nose and twirl it around and then put it in the testing solution. It works pretty well. I mean, I assume it does. I mean, it may just be a whole smoke and mirrors, who knows? But anyway, some people say it might. Are you vaccinated? No, sir. Actually, my wife is. She chose to become vaccinated, which is fine. I respect her decision. I have chosen to not. I may in the future, but I don't know. Being involved with not necessarily software development, but being involved with those workflows throughout my entire life, there's several phases to a project. There's the initial design. What's the scope of the project? There's the ask from the end users. What do they want this application to do? Well, once all of that's defined, and once the team determines the technical steps that need to be performed to accomplish that ask, well, then you start designing it. And once it's designed, then you have what's called UAT. Yeah, Luddy says, thanks for not vaccinating me too. Quit testing. And then there's user acceptance testing. So, as that product is being developed, that software solution or whatever, people that are going to use the product, they go in and test. Does it do what they want it to do? There's user acceptance testing from the end user side, and then there's also technical testing from the developer side. Something's got to be thoroughly tested, and line item by line item. Does this component work? Does this component work? Yeah, Luddy, welcome back. Always good to have you. And I remember you tuning in. It's deeply appreciated. So, looking at a testing workflow for most any sort of application, I can't help but to question, and again, this is personal opinion. Like I said, my wife got it. I didn't. I chose not to. But I can't help but to feel that, and I know things were rushed because of the situation, but I get a bad feeling about it. number one, I'm not personally convinced that it's 100% tested and 100% safe. That's my personal opinion. And also, I'm not convinced that that it's really even necessary. And I know these, I'm not going to get political with this, but I'm just, I'm a numbers guy, always have been. And I'm like, well, if I'm potentially putting something into my body that I couldn't take out, once the decision's made, the decision's made. It's not like I'm putting on a pair of shoes. Oh, these are uncomfortable, so I'm going to change them. No, it's not that simple. I mean, once something has been introduced into someone's bloodstream, it's not like you can just, I don't like it, I can take it out. Even tattoos can be removed, but this is something that cannot be removed. It would be, in my opinion, and again, I'm not a doctor, but in my opinion, it would probably be impossible to remove it. So it's a permanent decision. It's a permanent choice. Emphasis upon the word choice. And part of what has steered me away from it, not just the concerns that I have, and again, I know a lot of people that have chosen to do it, and I support their decision, but part of what has steered me away from it is just, again, I don't have the warm and fuzzies that's been thoroughly tested. Number two, I know it can't be removed. If it's a decision that I chose to make in the future, it's not a decision I can undo. So, case in point, think about, so there's this brand of wristwatches, they're called Panerai, and they have luminescence in the dial. And those factory workers, this was way back when, but when they were making the Panerai, the luminescent dials, they had all the luminescent, radioactive material that on their fingers, and they'd go home from work and they'd be, hey, look, my fingers glow. They had no idea that what they had from their day job assembling those glow-in-the-dark dials on those wristwatches was actually radioactive, and that it would quickly kill them, which was a shame. They had no idea. Over time we learn. We know now that, radioactive substances, you don't want to mess with those. They're dangerous, they're deadly. Just like this could potentially be if over time that, even maybe it was thoroughly tested and something unforeseen occurred. Time will tell. Until anything's been in existence for a while, it's hard to know what the bugs may be. If you get the first edition of insert vehicle here, it's revolutionary. Well, it may be good. It may have tested great. But when you got potentially hundreds of thousands of drivers on the road in that new vehicle that was tested in the lab in a small control group, problems might start to surface, because you got more people using it. And that's my fear. So it's a choice. Again, I support others that have made a different choice, but that's just my opinion. And I know a lot of people that have actually gotten it, and they've been, a lot of them had sniffles, and that was about it. So, I don't know. That's my decision. So, yeah, I'm not a fan of. I'm not. When it comes to experimentation, there's certain forms of experimentation that are okay. Okay, well, if you experiment with a new steak marinade, for example. Okay, you don't like it. What's the worst thing that could happen? Well, maybe that new steak marinade had been sitting on the store shelf for a while and it made you sick. Okay, you got sick from expired marinade. That's worst case. Best case is it may provide the best tasting steak you've ever eaten. It's something, you took a risk. You went out and tried something that was new to market, and when you used it, it made the best steak you've ever eaten. The other thing that could happen, you could have VIP guests over, and you could be, cooking a steak and then use an untested marinade, something you've never used before. Well, if that marinade does not taste good, then you failed to impress your VIP guest, and that's bad. But all of those scenarios, they're disappointments and they're perception issues, but there's no long-term health side effects. And, it doesn't matter how how successful or unsuccessful someone may be, if you don't have health, it doesn't matter, and nothing else matters. If you're not healthy, nothing else matters. Whether you're rich, you're poor, you're happy, you're depressed, whatever. It doesn't matter. So health is one of those things that I do not gamble with. And that's why, most every decision I make, except for drinking a few Natty Lights, and there's nothing wrong with that. I think those are good for you. That's my opinion. But, most every decision I make is health-centric. So, let's see. What did Luddy just say here? I got to flash up. There's absolutely no way a mask can prevent the spread of an airborne virus, yet look at the number of people that they have convinced they do. So you've segued into my other, the non-medical side of it. So those are my opinions regarding why I don't feel the risk is worth the reward. I don't feel it's thoroughly tested. I don't feel that I need it, and it's a gamble. But the other problem that I have is this is being used as it's all about control. So what I mean by that, and a lot of people don't realize this, which is fine. Not everybody takes the time to see the big picture. But basically what's happened is that people everywhere are voluntarily allowing the government to increase their control. Now, what do I mean by that? Well, if you've got a government that, number one, we've had this forever. We've had the, there's been taxes and stuff as long as all of us have been living. That's a form of government control. They audit everyone's finances. They force people to pay in this, that, and the other. And it's called, you got to comply. If you don't comply, there's potential legal repercussions. So, that's a form of control that's always existed. There has never been, until now, there has never been government or private party overreach when it comes to an individual's health. Health has always been, health traditionally has been something that has been very confidential. That's a situation where that information is known by the individual only and their medical professional or professionals. That's it. What has happened now is that mass hysteria has been created. People have assumed, because there's a lot of convincing people out there trying to say, oh, you need to do this, you need to do that. A lot of people, without looking at the big picture, have jumped on the bandwagon and said, oh, well, the assumption is that if I choose to not do this, that I'm somehow endangering others. That's been the vibe that's been created. Now, it could help, but there's already evidence saying it's not 100% effective, but it could help. I mean, granted, I'll agree with that statement. It might reduce, it possibly may. Again, these are very loose statements, but it possibly could or possibly may reduce the spread, because if somebody had it and they had the vaccine, maybe they wouldn't spread as much. Who knows? I'm not a doctor. But the bottom line is it's about control, because now there's hordes of people lining up, voluntarily bowing down to the governing bodies, and it's getting to be more than that. You look at the news now, a lot of these federal agencies, they're requiring their staff to take this, I'll just call it like it is, this experimental substance. And if they don't comply, they're out. So now what we're seeing not just the government's overreach, the government, dictating how one chooses to medically manage their own body, but now we're seeing potentially private parties. It's a slippery slope, because if one gives up their freedom of choice being when it comes to medical decisions, if one gives up their own medical decisions, if they surrender that to the government and or private parties, then that person they no longer have any personal control. Because if you can allow if you voluntarily allow the government and or private parties to control your health choices, that is scary. That's the main reason. Well, I would say I preference that as being what drove me to choose to not take the vaccine over the potential medical concerns. But for me, I would say both are equally weighted. Now how do I support the people that chose to make that decision? Well, it's quite simple. It's a choice. Now, everybody in life may make poor decisions, but if they do, it was a decision they made. It was a decision that they were not force-fed. They had a choice. They had an opportunity to say yes or to say no. Where we're heading now is a very dangerous territory. That territory being opportunity is no longer an option. When you no longer extend, hey, would you like to do this? Or, say yes or no. When you take that away, if that's taken away, then it's no longer a choice. It is something that is force-fed. Then that is when an individual loses their own rights. And if you lose, if individuals in the future lose control, lose the ability to make their own medical choices, if they lose that ability, let's say, for example, let's jump off of this for a while. So let's say people will choose, well, if these conditions do not resuscitate, whatever, basically just let them die. But what if the individual didn't get to make that choice? What if that was just the government? Well, would you really want the government saying, oh, well, you can live or you can't? I mean, that is gross overreach. Or what if it wasn't the government? What if the government empowered the private institutions to say, okay, well, you can choose who lives and who doesn't? I mean, ultimately, the scary part is, and I'm not a conspiracy theorist, I just look at what I feel are the facts. And ultimately, we, not just we as one country, but we as a world are entering a very dangerous territory. And it's frightening to see how many people don't. And I know there's people that by default, they immediately go to, oh, you're a conspiracy theorist. And they don't even listen. They don't even try to ponder what could be a realistic possibility. But the people that do, whether they analyze a situation and come to one assumption or another, the fact of the matter is that there's so many people that fail to take just a few minutes of quiet time to just, think about it, thoroughly think it through and say, okay, could that be a realistic possibility? Because the problem today, and again, not a political conversation, the problem today is that there's so many people, regardless of what they feel is their political allegiance, so many people turn on the news and they accept it as being the truth. The media are some of the most persuasive people that I've ever known. And whether they're persuading people to do something that's positive without any potential risk of danger, or if they're persuading people to do something that could be dangerous, could be very hazardous, the media are experts. And the media are able to be bought and sold, meaning that inevitably and sadly, often the person or the party with the most money wins. So the person with the most money, they can pretty much control the media. So that's the scary part. And let's see, we got a few comments here. Luddy says, along with control factor, look at the divisional is created. No doubt, our society is jacked up. And then we got Boba Fett. I'd rather take my chances with a vaccine than a ventilator. Just saying, especially if you have underlying health conditions. It's not political, it's life and death. Hey, and Boba Fett, that's one way to look at it. And again, I respect your opinion. And that's, again, this is all unknown. But the thing is, you know, in the comment you just made, you know, I respect your opinion there without a doubt. But the thing is, what if this substance may do more harm? And I mean, what if, and again, what if, well, and so you made an interesting, you prefaced that with something interesting. You said underlying health conditions. So, you know, again, I'm not a doctor, but, you know, people that do have underlying health conditions and talk to their doctor, you know, they may choose differently. But again, that's a choice. And yeah, you wonder if people would have the same reaction to polio. I don't see when the polio vaccine, and it's interesting you brought that up, because that's something that a lot of people have mentioned, and it's interesting that you mentioned that, because when that existed, the world was different. You know, we didn't have mainstream media. We didn't have, well, we had media, but we didn't have the media that are, you know, in your face, real time, 24/7. We didn't have social media. We didn't have internet. We didn't have, you know, the television capabilities like we have today. So, you know, what's different today is that there's a perceived agenda associated with this. You know, I look back at the polio and I'm like, okay, well, you know, at that point in time, they felt that was the best for everyone. I don't feel that back then there was any sort of ill intent. I think it was more of a, hey, I think we need this, let's do it. Whereas with this, you know, as I mentioned earlier, I feel that there's and again, I'm not a conspiracy theorist, but I feel that there's an underlying plan. And I don't know if the plan is just control. You know, there's a lot of stuff, and you can look at this too, and this isn't even related to the current situation, but there's a lot of stuff that you can pull up that's also going on now in the world with finance and all kinds of other things that is kind of swept under the rug, because now they're using this big problem as a way to draw attention off of the other things that are being put into the system. You know, there's, not to get into all the details, but there's enhanced overreach when it comes to auditing people's individual finances. Check that out. You know, transfer amounts. If someone transfers X amount, now they're a target. I mean, there's so many things that are being introduced, and a lot of people don't even say, oh, well, they don't even see it, because the highlight, this focal point right now in the eyes of the media are, you know, going after this one thing, and it's the pandemic situation. They're going on and on and on, and all this other stuff is concurrently happening. It's not receiving a lot of exposure, and a lot of it's just getting pushed through. Fly Right Jones, good morning. Welcome aboard, sir. But yeah, I don't know. I didn't want to go on a rant. And again, I'm not on this channel. I'm not politically driven. I just I share my opinions, and I really appreciate y'all's feedback as well. Again, I've got like I said, my wife had the vaccine. She chose to do it, but it was a choice, and I'm okay with that because it was a choice. Had she been forced to do it, that's a different animal. I would not be okay with that. But it was a choice that she made herself. So, you know, and like everybody in the audience, if it's a choice that you made yourself, it's a choice you made. And you know, if any choice, whether it's this or, you know, which combo meal deal to order off of the drive-through menu, if it's a choice you make, it's your choice. If it's a good choice, great. If it's a poor choice, hey, it happens. But you can only blame yourself in that situation. So, you know, I think it's important that, you know, to enable this society to get out of this hole that it's heading towards. I think, you know, we as a group of like-minded individuals, we need to Just inform me, where are you from, mate? Oh, dude, I'm in Georgia. But yeah, I think we just need to, push the politics aside, think rationally, and by all means, let's do away with all this political correctness. It's political correctness combined with everything that's going on it's a recipe for, I'll just say it like it is. It's a recipe for us losing control of everything, including our own personal medical choices. So think about that. And again, nothing political here, just sharing the way that I see it. So appreciate y'all tuning in. I burned a few calories. I didn't wear my Apple Watch, just wore this thing. But yeah, I'm gonna take a shower and get to it, man. Got a lot of YouTube videos to film today. So stay tuned for a live show. Doing a live show at is it 8 p.m. Eastern? Check out my main page and you'll see the link there. But appreciate y'all tuning in. Be safe. Continue to make your own choices and stand behind your own choices. Y'all have a good day.